My name's Peter Lowe, but I like to call myself the hot Asian. Though, since I was a little boy, my nickname was Fatty. And that name was so ubiquitous that people used to think it was my real name. I kid you not, I used to go to a small Anglican church in South Tamar, and all the parents of the youth kids used to think my name was Fatty, as in P-H-A-T, fat. So it ruined my self-confidence a bit, but now I'm known as FP, which is Fat Pete. So I haven't escaped it. So welcome guys to this morning. It's going to be a great morning. We're going to hear actually a testimony from a great story from a couple that go to our church. Such a great story that Channel 9 picked up a bit of their news and spoke about it. And later on, we're going to be doing a Q&A with about half a dozen different members. And we're going to be talking about the ability to overcome disappointment. Now, we are in a community of strong vision, and the Bible says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. So if you're going to have vision, well, along with vision, you have hope. And the answer to those dreams don't come straight away. And that actually makes your heart sick. And that's a journey that you have to go through. Those disappointing times that make your heart sick. But the promise, the second part of this passage is this: but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. And it's not talking about a sapling, it's talking about a tree with deep planted roots that can weather the storms and give you the muscle and the tenacity and the faith to overcome disappointment. So at the end of our time here, may it be a time that God speaks to you, may it be a time that you're encouraged by, but ultimately it may be a time where your roots go deep. So buckle up, going to be good fun. The first couple we're going to speak to, I actually met last year. About this time last year, Jordan and Christina met in the Hunter Valley. So guys, say hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, everybody.
We're excited to be speaking on this. It's very exciting for us. Yeah, a year after meeting you. So
yeah, full anniversary.
Yeah.
We're gonna break out we'll break out the cupcakes and celebrate. These guys are such a effervescent couple. I could literally cuddle either of you for a very long time. You guys carry so much positive energy, and the story that you've got is tremendous. I think what we'll do is I'd love to roll with this story first that Channel 9 picked up on you, and then just ask you a few questions about that journey, but that'll set some context. So everyone just tune in right now. We're going to just see a short video clip of these guys on the news.
On the search for the coast's best cookie, a Coolangatta woman has come up with her own recipe. Tonight we chat to the local who turned her passion for baking into a booming business.
Her sweet tooth opening doors Christina Baker never thought were possible. From the kitchen of her humble Coolangatta apartment, she made her dream a reality, creating Gold Coast cookies.
I thought cookies was the market I wanted to get into, so after lots of recipe trials, I thought I'd found the perfect cookie and took it to market.
But this presented a challenge.
I have a little tiny oven with 2 shelves and I could fit 6 cookies on a tray. I would spend the whole night, and I had cookie racks all up in my apartment, just all the cookies set out. I just did whatever I could do to make it work. I had a pop-up stall at Coolangatta.
Selling hundreds of cookies each day, Christina began to branch out.
The first COVID lockdown in 2020, I started doing home deliveries of cookies to people's doors.
18 months on, she has a commercial bakery with multiple staff and Gold Coast cookies stocked in over 300 cafes nationwide. And if you're wanting to try baking them at home for yourself, they've also started selling their most popular flavours as cookie dough, one being gluten-free. And it's not the first business born from a Gold Coast kitchen table. Like Billabong before her, Gordon Merchant designing board shorts at his home in 1973.
I just did not see it going this far, but it's just been amazing, yeah.
Tyra Stowers, 9 Gold Coast News.
Hey, isn't that brilliant? So guys, I think we can just do a quick golf clap to show your love for them. So guys, Jordan and Christina, tell us, before the cookie company started, you've always had together a kind of dreams for business. Has that been a long-term thing for you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, 100%. So we actually went to dental school together. We're both, I'm a dentist, she's a dental hygienist. But just during the studies and just in that process, we kind of felt there was more than just teeth to life. And we've just always had big dreams. We're optimistic people, and we just want to do the best we can and fulfill God's potential in our lives. And along the way, we found shows called Shark Tank. You guys probably heard a few of those.
Yeah.
And that just really inspires us to hear the things that people do in business, and just made us want to explore that further. So
I think we learned where our passion was is every time we got home from uni, we just watched Shark Tank and talk about possible business ideas. We were like, oh, I don't think our heart lies in the dental field. I think it's more in business. So yeah, it just kept getting more and more.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes.
So we had like 3 ventures before the cookie venture in Australia, just trying it, failing it, trying again, keep on doing it. And then, yeah, always wanting to do a bit bigger and bigger, really. But yeah, cookie so far.
Love that. Now, there's that term, right? So where quitters never win and winners never quit. But there's also this part where you need to fail fast. You know, you need to try something long enough and with enough intention to know it's actually time to quit. But there were 3 failed ventures before this cookie venture, which has gone so well. How did you know when to quit?
So I think there's a few things that came to mind. Financially, it's obviously very important. So like the very first one had no sales, but we just had tons. It just took too long and we kind of got bored of it. That was like in the fashion industry. The next one was just a similar cookie thing, but direct to consumer through post. We just making no money from that, really. So that's like a financial thing.
Yeah.
And then the last one was the vegan bar. We had a vegan bar which had every vitamin and mineral inside it. It's going to be the tastiest, most healthy bar you've ever seen. But when we came to Australia, none of the Australians really cared about it. So that was a market thing, really. So we just knew that it was written in the stars there. And we just knew not to pursue it further.
We were trying to get proof of concept with that one, really, because we thought it was a winner. We thought we were onto something. But at the markets, people will come up to us and say to us, oh, I wish it was a junk food brownie, not a healthy brownie. And we were like, oh, so we were just listening to the feedback of what people actually wanted, not what we perceived that they wanted. And then we knew that we had to pivot. So yeah.
Amazing. And so was it largely the healthy vegan bar trying to sell that at markets that it became Gold Coast cookies, and they talked about they wish it was the naughty, but the naughty cookie.
Yeah. So we'd done a little bit of cookies in the UK because we couldn't think of a better business idea at the time. We were trying to think of something brand new, but we wanted to just get started and get our foot in so that we could learn just as we go. And then when people started saying they wanted like a junk food brownie, we're like, oh, let's just try the cookies here in Australia. Who knows? Let's just set up a market, sell the cookies, see how they go. And we'll go from there. And then we're here now. It hasn't stopped.
Hey. Okay. So from very humble beginnings, that sense of inverted commas failing, but really what you're doing is learning on the run. And it's the cookies and really how it begins is you baking in your own kitchen and then selling them at market.
Yeah. So we had a crazy few months. It was pre-COVID. So we baked. Jordan was still doing dentistry full-time, 5 days a week. I was full-time on the cookie business. I didn't go back to doing dental hygiene. And we baked cookies in our apartment till gone midnight. And then in the morning, I would take them out to Coolangatta and set up a cookie stand and sell them outside on the cookie stand. And then during the COVID first lockdown, that stand had to close down. So we were like, okay, what do we do? Jordan's dentistry also stopped because of the COVID lockdown. We had no money saved at all because we just moved from the UK and we depleted all our savings. So we were like, right, we have to do something. So we made cookies and then we did a 12-hour delivery day driving the Gold Coast in Brisbane, just dropping off boxes of cookies to people's doors. Not knowing what we were doing, there was probably not really tons of financial gain in it, but from that, people started posting it on their social medias, the cookie boxes they received, and that's how cafes started seeing it. And it's kind of how the journey actually started. So it was a blessing in disguise. And yeah.
Amazing. And how many cafes are you in at the moment?
So we're in about 300 at the moment, and it is growing. We have quite a few impending, like larger deals at the moment. So we could see that expand quite quickly in the next month. So yeah, it's very exciting.
Amazing. And you know, I think as I was preparing for this, I thought about that Bible passage which I referenced, but don't despise the day of small beginnings. God cheers you when you start. And he specifically talks about Zerubbabel holding the plumb line. And so many of us can overanalyze and take in all the data, but we never take the shot. And what I've loved about you guys is your willingness to get your hands dirty. And I think if we're talking about leadership, it's you know what, you got to get your hands dirty. And so for you guys, that's baking in your kitchen, that's selling at the markets, that's delivering to individuals. And then in terms of when you say you get hit up by 300 cafes, just so everyone knows, that has been achieved like a lot through door knocking. That's been also going up and meeting the stores and introducing yourself and going out and doing those yards of whatever it takes. So I love that about you guys. What would you say to someone as they come across this beginning journey? Obviously, there might have been some times where that vision and fire might have been challenged, right? Like, so you loved the journey of, you loved the destination and the process of moving to, but overcoming those disappointments and putting those hard yards. Tell us a little bit about that. What would you say to someone who's going through tough times?
Yeah, I'd say that journey is actually still ongoing for us. Like, if I'm completely honest, every single win you get feels the same. This was something we've learned, and you always want more. So in the past, like this time last year, our goal was to be where we're at now, but now we're at that goal. We're already wanting the next goal. So you're constantly, that's the biggest challenge of this business journey, is our minds are constantly wanting the next thing. And it's so important to look back and reflect on where you've come and not just be wanting the next and the next and the next. In regards to how we deal with disappointment, we've definitely had a lot of disappointments with bigger clients that we thought were really going to come through, and they didn't come through in the end. So we'd have moments where we, had doubt, and we felt like we needed to quit and wrap things up if it was to continue that way. But then we really just stuck to the main principles, and I'll give Andrew Denton a little bit of credit on this one. He told us last year at the Kingdom Builders to pray together every night, read the Bible together every night, and to start giving, even in the small. If we always said, well, once we make it one day, we'll start giving. But since Kingdom Builders last year, we did start giving, just those three fundamentals, keeping them like as a foundation. And just keep persisting. And in the end, we found that God is always providing. And so when something doesn't come through, something else comes through, and it still increases it and still increases it. And we have enough to cope with the, expenses as we're growing the kitchen and the equipment. So, those are the three definitely fundamentals to keep your foundation strong as you go through the disappointments.
Yeah, just leaning on God's promises has been really big, because every single time it's, we always want more, but it doesn't have the way we want it. But we always have to, God has the promises for us that the business is, meant to be. And we've had a few signs along the way that have really encouraged it, as in this is the right thing that we're meant to be doing, at least during this period. So it's always so tempting to quit and start tech business and do something crazy. But God has said, you guys need to finish this first and, do it to the best of our ability. So that's what we're doing. But it's a journey. Lots of waiting, lots of patience, and just knowing that, we have faith in the long-term process. So, yeah.
Love that. Hey, guys, thank you so much for sharing. We could go all morning. Why don't you share your appreciation? As you're doing that, guys, why don't you just quickly in the chat window, write one thing that's encouraged you just from the share of Jordan and Christina. Just in the chat window, one thing that's been encouraging for you. Melinda's saying perseverance, the ability to not only just keep going in that business, but keep going on the vision, right? Which is great. Mal's sharing about don't give up. Soph Raff is saying that Sam is saying he likes chocolate. Well, yes, absolutely. From your physical appearance, we can see that. Kidding. Paul's talking about standing on the word of God, keep trying, determination, praying together. There's more to life than teeth. So this is so good. And the ability to, Chip's talking about ability to get your hands dirty. So guys, look, we're 10 minutes into the call, and already I think there's been some things that have kind of lifted us up. So thank you guys for sharing. want to talk a little bit about the ability to overcome disappointment. And just a quick segue here, but not really, because you kind of hear that there was disappointment to get here. I read a book some years ago called Authentic Happiness by a guy called Marty Seligman. He's an American psychologist. He was previously the chair of the American Psychology Association. Okay, so quite a significant influencer in that way. A secular person, and the book is a secular book. And he did a long-lasting study of what helps humans to be happy. And the clinical psychologists in the room can fact check me. And if you see them shake their head, just block their screen out and listen to my voice. But he talked about what are the 3 characteristics that humans possess in order to be happy. And from a secular person, he said these 3 things. Number 1, have a belief in a higher purpose or a being. Now, you might interpret that as God. Number 2, have an outward focus on life. Live with an external focus, with a purpose to help other people. The third one was this: possess an ability to overcome disappointment. I think that's just such an important thing in the journey as we walk along, and we started with that Bible verse. Sometimes in life, we can look at someone that we perceive to be on top of the mountain and not have an awareness of the journey that they did to get there. And I can guarantee you it was a journey of a big vision. And along the way, there were lots of things that, you know what, quite frankly, weren't exciting. And the ability to overcome disappointment and persevere. If you look at a great athlete, I don't think they love getting up. Anyone loves getting up at 4 a.m. and working out and training. But the best of the best of the best have an ability to do the things they don't like doing more consistently and with more passion. And so along the way of setting up that vision, there's this piece called hard work. And Christina talked about God's always providing, and this thought flashed in my mind: God's always providing as you are always working on your heart, working on your character, working on your business, working on your skills, working on your relationships. God is always working. It's a joint partnership, and the provision comes through that work. So we've got half a dozen guests, so we're just going to quick fire just these topics around disappointment and grit and resilience. They don't know the order, they don't know the exact questions, but I'm sure you guys are going to find this encouraging. So Stu and Henry Hawkins, they run a software company called Red Arc. The company's been going for quite some time, and they've got the big vision, and they supply this software to the not-for-profits. But along the way, guys, there's a lot of hard work. Like, I don't know if you, like coding, oh my goodness. And if I look at one screen of code, I've had enough. Okay. So coding, finding problems, and genius making the complex simple. Tell us, guys, what's been, you know, you guys work hard. What keeps you working hard when things never go to plan, right? You never write the software quickly enough. You never do it in a way where you don't prevent all of the problems. Tell us a little bit about what keeps you going.
Amy?
I think you should go first because you're the software person.
I think you have to look at the big picture. So if you look at life and life and business, it's kind of doing this all the time. But if you look at it from a, you step back a bit, it's doing more like this. So we just kind of created a problem for our own business in the last 3 months because we had a very large unplanned product that we brought out, which was successful, but then we had to deal with all the 3 months behind it where we weren't doing things we were planning to do, right? So you just got to keep looking. There's a scene. Oh, here we go. Here's what you need to do. So there's a scene in The Hunt for Red October where they're searching for this Russian submarine, and there's one point where they shoot two torpedoes at Red October, right? And what he does is he steers directly into the torpedoes, and everybody's like, "You're crazy! What are you doing with steering towards these torpedoes?" But in actual fact, he had a plan because he, if he did that, the torpedoes are set to go off a certain time. He went too far. They missed the boat. It was all good, right? But if at any point he'd have quit as he was going directly towards his torpedoes, the thing would have been a disaster. And you got to kind of remember that. It's like if you set an objective, just flipping keep going. You know what I mean? Because it probably was a good objective, and if you get there, just deal with the stuff on the way, because don't forget where you're going.
Yeah.
You think of a time when you guys thought of giving up. Okay, so you knew the plan, head direct for the torpedo, and it's jittery, right? Like it's coming right at you. Can you think of a specific time when you went, this is just too much and we've got to alter course?
Yeah.
You want to go?
Oh, I think that happens multiple times a week. With a growing business, you have challenges all over the place. You've got staff issues, you've got customer issues, and sometimes it can just get on top of you. And I know, particularly with the situation Stu was talking about earlier, building this product, it was nerve-wracking because we knew that, in a sense, because we were focusing on developing the product, our sales had dropped. But we knew that the investment, we had to look at it as an investment rather than a loss, if that makes sense. Because you just have to keep going, and you can't let, if you know you've got a purpose, if you know you've got a plan, if you know God is in it, which we believe he is, you'll get through it. But you've got to keep overcoming those disappointments, those challenges along the way, and just know that God's with you, and dig deep, as you talked about earlier. You can't let the little foxes that Robert Ferguson talks about get in and disrupt you.
Yeah, I love that.
We're sounding really bullish, right? But tomorrow morning, if there's like something bad has happened today, we'll be waking up going like, oh my goodness, can we do this? So just putting that out there. We're talking encouragement, but the reality tomorrow morning could be very different.
Yeah, and I think that's actually what's encouraging is your story of overcoming the tough. And I think if there was an exercise I'd just encourage to do, you grab a blank sheet of paper, in the middle of the page going left to right, just write one line, and you divide that line up into the ages and years that you had. And then quickly, all I want you to do is just write the top 10 significant moments in your life. It might have been the loss of a loved one. It might have been betrayal. Maybe it was meeting the love of your life. And next to each of those highs and lows in life, write down, what did that experience teach you? And I think you'll probably see that those tough times when you're under the squeeze are the things that built something in you that goes beyond that minor event.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to have a deep ability to forgive someone. And you know what? When you walk away knowing that you can forgive a significant wrong, there's just this extra layer of confidence that you call for forgiveness for yourself, a lightness in your weight. And then you begin to embrace those tough times because they're the ones that refine you by fire. So if there was a lesson I think we can hear from Stuart and Henry, it's this: you gotta embrace. Can I say the suck? Is that not Christian enough? I don't know, but you got to embrace the suck. You've got to keep going. You've got to keep finding a way. You've got to keep going, holding up your arms like this and go, God, show me. I don't know. And it's not a sophisticated prayer, but Peter yelled a very powerful prayer at one point when he was sinking, and it was just this: help. And so if you're going through a tough time right now, I just want to encourage you. You've had the faith to step out on the boat. You know what? The people in the boat are going to go, why'd you lose faith? You're the only person that stepped out of the boat. And as you step out of the boat and you sink, just yell, help. And God applauds the beginning. So thank you, Stu and Henry, for sharing that. That was really, really good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Melinda, I want to hear from you, because sometimes you have disappointments of the tough times. Sometimes you have disappointments of false accusation or betrayal, but sometimes you have disappointments that come from, you know what? I'm doing it the wrong way. Oh, I was heading in the right direction. I was trying to build something a certain way and it wasn't panning out, and I needed to detour, or, in business likes to use the term pivot, right? So can you tell us about a time when you threw your effort at something and you needed to change tack? Tell us about an experience like that.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Peter. I'll probably reflect back to when I was working in my corporate life, and I thought I had a good job, and I thought I would stay at that business for a while. And but things started to go south, and I became quite unhappy there. And I can't even really talk about the details because I had to sign an NDA. But what I had to do is I had to stay there for 11 months and complete a project. And I felt very much like I was a prisoner there. You know, I felt I had to struggle to get through each day. And I had difficulty seeing like what God's purposes would be for my life, given that things hadn't turned out as planned. But one of the things that really got me through that time was I reflected on Paul's missionary journey and how he was a prisoner for much of the latter part of Acts, and particularly Acts 27. And he knew that getting on this boat and going to Rome was a terrible decision, you know, that they were going to encounter winter storms, but he had to do it because he was a prisoner and he had no choice. But he took the leadership position in that he knew that he was God's child. He knew that he was God's apostle, and he really stepped up and became the leader of that group. And I think for me in that time, that's what I decided to do, inspired by Paul's story, and decided to take that leadership position and be an encouragement to those around me, even those people who were, I suppose, making life very difficult for me, because I know that I belong to Jesus, that I'm his witnesses in the world. And like what Stu was saying earlier, I can see the big picture, even if I can't see what's going to happen day to day. So I think that was the real takeout from that experience. And Peter, what you were saying before about how our most difficult times teach us the most. But getting back to your question around things not going to plan, the good thing is that after this job ended, I started a business. Also, God put this opportunity before me, which was to get involved in this church, sort of this campus plant for Hillsong Ku-ring-gai, and we meet at St. Ives. And you know, if I had persisted in that job, which I thought kind of was the way forward for me, I wouldn't have had the headspace or the capacity to get involved in that new start for Hillsong Ku-ring-gai, and I wouldn't have started a business, and I wouldn't be where I am today with so much kind of freedom in my life. So God, really used that circumstance to set me in a whole new, much better direction.
I love that. Practically, what does it look like? You said you're inspired by that story, and I know you can talk about that now, but was that something that you felt God put on your heart, talking about Paul as a prisoner? And did you read about that? And was it like when you're going like 11 months, right? Getting up 5 days a week to go to a place where you don't want to go to and people are working against you? That just rolls off the tongue a little bit too quick, right? It's a very tough situation. Practically, what are you doing to keep
going through that situation?
Yeah. Well, unpack it, because I can hear that verse and I can go, yeah, okay, cool. I don't know if just knowing that verse gets me through that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, I think I think for me, yes, it was knowing who I was and being inspired by Paul, definitely, and seeing myself as Paul in that situation. I would also, on the way to work every day, listen to the song No Other Name. I would play that in my earbuds walking down the hill to work. And that was like a kind of like a groove that I would get into. And then at work, when things got just a bit too intense, I would step out and listen to a sermon or a message or a song to really kind of detach myself from that situation, refocus back on Jesus and my purpose and his way that he empowers me in my life and can really do all things through me that he needs to do, and then have that 15-minute break and then get back in the fold. I also sort of like what you said earlier, Peter, about an external focus, because I feel very much if I'm zeroing in on myself, I can go down this vortex of self-pity and woe is me and I'm a victim. But ultimately, I needed to step out of that and think about how can I serve other people? How can I have that external focus? How can I be mindful of the people around me and ultimately be a good witness in this situation? These people know I'm a Christian. So how am I going to live differently through this situation? And another thing I did is I just decided I was going to get through each day. All I needed to do was get through each day. So the Lord's Prayer talks about, give us this day our daily bread. And for me, that just made me think, okay, God has my future in the palm of his hands. I don't need to worry about that. All I need to do is just get through each day. And each day I got through, I crossed off my calendar. I had a big calendar on the back of my study door. I would just say, okay, I achieved that. God got me through that day, and I would celebrate that. Even if it was a good day or a bad day, God got me through.
Love that. Thank you. Hey, guys, in the chat window, you've heard from Stu, Henry, and Melinda. Just type in one thing that you found encouraging. And thank you so much for sharing, Melinda. Really appreciate that. As you're sharing there, if you're going through tough times, a thought I had there is understand the difference between meditate and gulp. So often in life, we want to gulp something down. We get the tidbit. That's all I need. Cool. I go. But the word meditate literally means like chew and chew like a cow. And if you notice, there were some behaviors that Melinda did there that was meditating, having a big visual calendar. God promises me that I'm going to get through the day, crossing that off. Going on, there was one song, No Other Name, she played that resonated with her. And it's chewing, it's chewing, it's chewing. The gulp won't get you there. The chew will. So I just want to encourage that to you. That was really encouraging for me. I remember when I was going through a tough time, I'd been peak hour traffic on the Wakehurst Parkway. My stereo would be cranked up like a doof person. And this is how I fight my battles, and the traffic would be still and everyone's looking at this guy pumping out Christian music. And this is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. This is how I fight my battles. I am surrounded, God, by you. And so whatever that is for you, can I just encourage you? Okay, you're not a Fruit Loop. God says, take captive every thought and submit it to God. So the thoughts that are buzzing your head, they're not thoughts you have to own. I even do this with my kids. When they say a bad thought, I say, come on, kids, grab that. God says, grab it. And Kobe's here and he goes, I've got it. I go, look at it. What does that thought say? And Kobe says, I'm stupid. And I'm saying, do you think that's a thought that God wants you to have? Now, how do I know it's God's thought? Well, does it bring the fruit of the Spirit, peace, joy, love, patience? No. Okay, what are we going to do with that? Chuck. As a person thinks in their heart, so are they. You don't think with your head. The Bible says you think with your heart. And if you want the overflow of your heart to bring good fruit, you need to meditate. You need to cultivate that. You can't gulp. So meditate on whatever is true, noble, or praiseworthy. Thank you so much, Melinda. I'm going to go in this last moment to hear from Andrew. And then at the end of this, I want to share with you for what personally for me has been the scariest and most influential, impactful prayer I've ever prayed. But I want to hear from you, Andrew. The tough times I want to talk about now with you, Andrew, and I hope your internet works, but it's the tough times of betrayal. It's the tough times of letdown. It's the tough times of broken disappointment, the things that you might call kind of attacks or disappointment along the way. And I'm going to head off to go. Andrew's a great friend. I also consider him a mentor, but a lot of the things I glean from him aren't being said. They're things that I observe. And I've seen Andrew and Susan in tough times that people would know from the outside. You know what they're doing? They're praying, they're having communion every day. No one sees that. These situations where I would go, you know what, I might shrink back from that and not do that speaking engagement. He's still there. And in the quiet moments of what's going on, communion, him and Susan, praying for health and vitality, etc. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about, and it doesn't have to be that, but what have been some of the things, some of the toughest times where you felt like betrayal, disappointment, or broken partnerships? And what have you don't have to tell the specifics, but how did you get through that?
Yeah, thanks, Pete. I don't think we've got a long enough morning to do all the all the disappointments and dramas, and we've had some great speakers here already. And I do think that we definitely learn things in the bottom of the scale and the graph there. And when times are tough is when we learn. When times are great, we're all geniuses, aren't we? Everything's just powering along. We're fantastic. But it is definitely those tough times. And I think those tough times, as you said before, in business, when there's been a betrayal, or, if you want to say, problem with a partnership, can be extra tough because there's an emotion attached to that as well. And I think definitely, and people have already said this morning too, it's a knowing who you are and what your purpose is that keeps you through. There's been times when it would have seemed very easy to quit and very easy to sit in the corner in the fetal position and just say, well, obviously this is not me. I remember I won't go into all the specifics, but we had a partnership, and there was obviously some major issues there, and it cost me $10 million to get out of it. That's right, people, 8 figures. Now, at that point, I could have easily have thought, well, man, I'm a failure at this, and I suck, and this is not good, and it was really, really tough time in my life. There's no doubt about that. But what I learned from that was that it was the most expensive lesson I've ever had in my life. I never want to have one that expensive again. And I learned that I needed to change. I needed to change. I couldn't blame God. I couldn't even blame the other guy. I needed to make changes in my life so that didn't happen again. And, God gives us situations in our businesses, in our day-to-day lives, that hopefully we actually can learn from those things. And certainly for that one, I won't go into all the details, but it definitely changed a lot of things that how I structured my business. And so rather than quitting, saying, well, obviously I'm a failure at this, it actually just encouraged me to take that next step again. And I think that's the important thing that we want to get across to people today. You will have discouragement. You will have discouragement. And an email this morning from my acquisitions guy, another drama. There's dramas every day. But if you understand who you are and you understand your purpose, and you're putting yourself in a position where God can speak to you, I keep coming back to, and it's been said here already today, praying with your spouse or praying with someone else, reading your Bible every day with expectation God's going to speak to you. Why? Because you're going to have challenges every day, every single day. And don't be shocked by that when the challenges come. Don't be shocked. God's promised us that they will be there. But he also promises that he has overcome. And so, I think, it's not about putting your head in the sand, but having an understanding. God's got this. God's got this. And I like to say that God knows of every challenge and the answer to every challenge before I even knew I had the challenge. And so if I've got a godly confidence, not an Andrew confidence, a godly confidence that he's got this, that means I'm going to keep relying on him. And so I'm going to make sure that I'm praying every day. I'm going to make sure that I'm having my spiritual ears and eyes open to hear from God. Why? Because I need it today. It's not about tomorrow. I'm going to have some more challenges tomorrow. That's why it's actually important also, guys. We're talking about all the tough times here. Celebrate your wins. Celebrate your wins. However small they are, celebrate them, because if you just focused on all the tough times, that's all you'd ever do. And life would be very sad. And, so you have to celebrate your wins, but don't let those tough times take you down. In fact, just let those tough times then elevate you. I just say, I think probably because where I am in business is because I've had more tough times and I've had more failures, and I've had more challenges in whether it's been in relationally or whether it's been, in other partnerships, or just doing things plainly wrong. I've done plenty of things wrong, but I've learned from those mistakes. I'm certainly not perfect, far from it. My wife was here, she'd tell you. But I think, it really is about having that focus on who I am and where I'm heading. And when we make ourselves understand that I am totally reliant on you, God, totally. Can I tell you, it's a better place to be. It's a better place to be. And when you keep God first like that, the dramas are just, they just go away. I can remember, I'm nearly 25 years now in business, but the first 10 years, I used to actually be worried, like, is this all just going to go one day? Is this just a dream? Is it just what is this? But then I got to a point where I realized, no, God's put me on here for a purpose. It's going to be okay. Don't worry anymore, Andrew. God's got this. And it has changed. And like Pete says, he's seen some things that happened in the past. And to most people on the front, they would say, oh, he just lives an easy life. Well, no, but I have a godly confidence. Hopefully I don't come across as arrogant, but I have a godly confidence that when I keep my eyes on him, it's going to be okay. That right, Pete?
That's awesome. And as you think about that, guys, I just want to ask just a probing question for yourself. Where are you blaming and not taking personal responsibility? Where are you blaming and not taking personal responsibility? Because when you blame, there's a fruit that goes with it. And when you take responsibility, there's a fruit that goes with it. People that blame have a wounded spirit. You can pick it up on them. And they're so busy blaming that they're not seeing the opportunities today. But you heard Andrew say, he said, it was my fault. Ultimate responsibility, God working me. And just a quick thought with Andrew sharing. I love this question. How many characters are there in the story? You know what? If there's just one character, if it's just you, it can get a little lonely. I think a lot of Christians go through the world interpreting as if it's just two characters. And when things that don't go their way, they say, what? Why God? Why me? But if you understand there's three characters in the Bible, you'll understand it's on you. The attacks come, the opportunities come, and it's on you to choose the right thing. It's on you to keep going forward. And just want to encourage that you. So you know what? All of us carry some blame at some point. We're all, there's a bit of hurt there, right? And just encouraging you just to let it go on the blames and the hurts of the past, thus far and no further. Thank you, Andrew. In the last 60 seconds, I just want to share with you a prayer that was probably the most scary prayer and most influential prayer, and that is praying against your enemy. And if you understand that what we walk through is spiritual. And for me, it was at a very tough time where there was a personal betrayal and all the feelings were just so bad. And I just had an awareness of what was going on. It wasn't just physical, it was spiritual. And this is the prayer I said. I said, enemy, I know what you're up to. And I know how you want to use this time to bring me down. But I want to tell you this, greater is he who is in me than is in you. And in the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, who came to earth, who died on the cross, who rose again, who calls me son and king, I tell you that you are bound. You are gone from my life. And what is bound on earth is bound in heaven. What is loosed on earth is loosed in heaven. You have no impact upon my hopes, my dreams, my finances, my work, my heart. And I want to tell you, every time you come against me, I am doubling down in prayer. So bring it on. I stopped that prayer and I'm waiting. And, you know, nothing happened straight away, but there were times I'd drive along and then this thought would come and I would not feel like praying. But I said this, I said, every time you're going to come against me, I'm going to double down in prayer. So bring it on. And I would pray. And you know what? I know I'm hurting him and he's not hurting me. And eventually those thoughts dissipate because I pray in the power and authority. You know what? Some of us we ask God for many things, but can I encourage you to pray with confidence and conviction and on the front foot that he is in you, is mighty to save, that the God in you, the same power that raised Christ from the dead is in you. So may you pray that prayer. May you not slumber. May you not think that these events are random, but understand that your life has a specific plan and purpose for something bigger. What comes against you is because what God has deposited in you is mighty to save. Amen. Amen. Guys, I hope you've had a great time. It's 8:01, 1 minute over. We'll see you around next week, same time. Ciao, ciao.